games. It's a weekly podcast on YouTube. Brittany's got a butt cup. That's Brittany Sanders. She's got the butt cup. We got Jarvis Miller. No, Jairus Mitchell here with the crab cup. We got, over here going to the zoo. We got Chris. It's the Hutch going to the zoo. And I'm drinking water. And a
that doesn't look
in
like
a lead cup.
It looks like grape water.
It's acai berry flavored.
What the fuck are we doing? Who are we as humans? We're just trying to restart it, but I think we need to just keep going.
All right, well, let's go.
Allow us to allow the pain to exist.
Hey guys, guess what? This is our third attempt starting this podcast, and you know what? It's not going to get any better. We're just going to rip the Band-Aid off. Let's rip the Band-Aid off with our first segment.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to
smash
there.
like.
That right there is now our advertisement. I'm just cut out the like, comment, subscribe. It's just going to be that.
Dab on that bell.
Dab on that bell. If given an unlimited budget, but with the caveat that it had to be based on some other intellectual property, what kind of restaurant would you start? Like someone came to you and said, Hutch, here is $4 bajillion dollars. I want you to start a restaurant, but I want it to be themed after an intellectual property. What intellectual property would you pick? And also, what would the signature dish be?
Okay, the IP part. I'm trying to think of what I could put it to. I think I want to make something
you just
around.
Want to make like an egg sandwich and like try and shoehorn that into some intellectual property?
Oh, dude, no. I was thinking like mac and cheese because I love me some mac and cheese. So I want to do something best with that.
Attached to mac and cheese?
Mac and cheese.
So you know what? Me and Brittany watched a fucking weird ass video before you guys got here about a guy who was addicted to mac and cheese to the point that that's the only thing he had eaten for like 17 years.
He couldn't eat anything else.
He would vomit.
That's how you get scurvy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Did he put other things in it, or was it just...
that grossed him out. Like he was talking about how like
bacon,
the bacon mac and cheese. He was like, ooh. He would like was really creeped. Like they just had him walking around the grocery store looking at different food items, and he was disgusted, telling them how he felt about each one, and like the meat thing was really bothering him because he was like, it used to be a living, breathing thing with like meat and tendons and veins and stuff, and then he was like, he looked at a steak and was like, ugh, you have to wash the blood off this. What is this? And then.
Oh no.
He said that like he went to the vegetable aisle and was like, I just don't even like the color of this one. Like
he didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. He was, I don't know, he was really strange. And as you guessed it, I don't know, someone probably touched his butt when he was younger, so that's why he's suffering from like it was like a form of like OCD, like PTSD type of deal where he just couldn't eat. I don't know. We didn't finish the video, but he only ate mac and cheese, like Velveeta.
Does he cook for himself?
Yeah.
So like he can't go out and eat with anyone.
Yeah.
He only eats mac and cheese.
Yeah.
So his grocery, like
he
how much mac and cheese?
He opened up his cabinet and it was all mac and cheese.
All Velveeta shells and
so
cheese.
I was like talking to Bryan, I was like, how, like, does he not eat, like, I don't know, like ice cream or cake, or it doesn't necessarily have to be healthy, like, does he eat other things too? But he doesn't, and apparently it's just a condition that's
mac and cheese something. Birthday cake.
Yeah, it's just, he just eats Velveeta mac and cheese.
Ooh.
Yeah, it made me really not want mac and cheese.
That's how you get scurvy.
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
how you get like a bunch of nutrient deficiencies.
There was one dude who in the UK who went blind because he wasn't getting all the nutrients. He was eating like junk food. I mean, it's a bit of a tangent, but like he was just eating like chips and shit. Nothing with any nutritional value.
Did you know that the limit of chicken nuggets is 497? Because at 498...
What do you mean by the limit for chicken nuggets? Like the number of chicken nuggets you can eat before you die?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that is...
A guy died at 498, so the limit is obviously 497.
Is that a lifetime limit? What's the cooldown on
that?
that?
No, that was like one day.
At one.
24-hour period.
Like, he just was like sat down to a feast of 490 some chicken nuggets and then died immediately afterwards. So
yeah, it was a good time.
Was he aiming for 500?
I don't know what his aim was.
I don't know.
And you know what? Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Little scrapbook poetry for you guys.
What a
all you big
well,
chicken
speaking of the stars, I've got one.
Okay.
And it's because I'm staring at it right now. Toe Jam and Earl themed restaurant. Okay? Yeah.
That's a very appetizing. What would you call it? Toe Jam and Earl's Toe Jam Topia?
No.
Toe Jam
and Earl's Funky Fresh Fish.
Funky Fresh Fish?
Yes. And what it's going to be is it's going to be a sushi restaurant.
Okay.
And their big ass spaceship is going to be filled with ice, and you have to open it up, and it's going to have like sashimi spread on top of it. That's going to be the main thing, and then they're going to make it like weird and funky, so it looks like you're eating aliens.
Okay.
Because they're aliens. No,
They're aliens.
That's a really weird thing to kind of get over. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Thinking about eating aliens, it's like going to, they have those poop theme like restaurants.
Oh yeah, the ones that look like the emoji.
Where they legit have you like sitting on like toilet bowls or some shit,
Yeah.
or they feed you like ice cream in a toilet bowl, something weird.
This is news to me.
They are in Japan, but they're also in some like there's one in like Canada somewhere, and maybe in the US somewhere too.
The closest thing I've ever come to like poop food is on Halloween. People would make like a weird. It would look like cat shit. Like they would have like They would take a litter box that was obviously like clean. They bought it from the store and like a scooper, and they like made some sort of candy that looks like litter, and then it have like chocolate pieces that would roll around in it and dusty, and they would scoop it.
Yep.
That one time I went trick or treating as a kid, and they just gave this to me, and I was like,
"What
no,
the
thanks.
fuck?"
No,
I think someone was trying to trick you into eating cat shit.
I think so. That's the closest I've ever come.
That's
to,
a
like,
fucking
poop
nightmare.
Oof. Man,
No.
this is all kinds of bad.
Food. Okay, well, I think if I
Your
did,
hometown sucks.
it was actually Bryan's hometown.
Both of your hometowns suck.
It's true.
We went down the mountain that year to do our trick or treat.
Ooh.
We put in our full set of teeth and just rode down the mountain.
It's too bad you didn't get to the country clubs. They were giving out to yoo-hoos.
Oh yeah, I can't get in the country clubs. Too poor for that.
They know you.
They know
your
They
face.
check IDs.
They can smell the pour on us.
No, if I had to pick something, it would probably be something near and dear to my heart, which is Sailor Moon.
Okay.
And that would be, I guess the signature dish would be like spaghetti and meatballs.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that's cute.
Because-
Super
It's
Sailor
these
Moon-y.
meatball heads.
Yeah, because she has those buns on top of her head.
Yeah.
And, well, in the Japanese version, they called her bun head, but in the, like, really terrible dub I grew up with, they called her meatball head. Because those dumb American kids don't know anything about buns,
Yeah.
so here's meatballs.
Well, you could do both. You could have buns as an option, too.
Which, honestly, is kind of cheating, I feel like, because there already is Sailor Moon restaurants in Japan that serve these pretty amazing-looking dishes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I would probably lean towards something like that.
I think you could also do. So in Japan, they have a bunch of like these desserteries that just do like
Mhm.
parfaits and ice cream sundaes, and they're all like really beautiful and awesome.
Yeah.
I think Sailor Moon would be well suited for that too.
Yeah, it would definitely be something that was, the presentation is probably a little bit more important than the actual food, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, some food looks better than it tastes, and I think that would probably be what it would be.
Yeah.
Not the Sonic curry.
Not the Sonic.
Well, how about you, Jairus? What kind of restaurant and food would you make?
Fast and the Furious.
Oh, yeah.
Dom's Kickin' Chicken.
Ooh.
Okay, but what makes Dom's chicken so kickin'?
He kicks it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Please tell me someone's going to kick it onto my plate.
We just,
Like they just come up and they hold it with tongs, and then
Yeah,
someone
just
just like hits it with a wrench or something.
Yeah. Oh my God.
that'd be
Okay.
we just go get like a whole chicken, and you
just put it
tie
up.
a
Just
string,
football punt
you
it.
tie a string around it,
Just
and
cook
then you
it with a
take
beer.
it a couple laps around the drag strip, and
So that it can feel the speed.
the speed and the fury.
But it's
And
stuffed
then-
with a Corona.
Oh.
It's stuff with a Corona.
Yeah, you could do beer can chicken. I live my life a quarter chicken at a time.
Do they?
Actually, beer can chicken, but with Nas.
Ooh.
Oh no!
Wow.
No.
That would have
Also-
to sign a waiver.
Also,
to
we
eat.
don't mention that company.
That's right. That's right.
They're dead to us.
God damn it. Well, of course, my other one that I have, because my last name is Belcher, people are automatically assume that I would make like a Bob's Burgers type restaurant.
But your name's Bryan.
I know, but
Your name isn't Bob.
but I have cosplayed as Bob, and I did come up with a recipe
Ooh.
for it.
We could call it Bab's Burgers.
Bab's Burgers.
Bab's Burgers.
I kind of like it. And I did have
Everyone would be confused because they'd be like, "Who's Babs? Are you Babs?"
Yeah, they'd actually that's what would happen.
It's not me.
But yeah, I would do the burger today, and of course my birthday is Christmas Day, so I'd have to make the Jesus Christ, and his the 7 deadly cheeses. So just have one for representing each cheese, like greedy Gouda. What's another one?
I'm not sure. Is Jesus tied in though with the 7
Nope,
deadly
not at
sins?
all. But it doesn't matter.
Unrelated.
You've made that before, haven't you?
Satanic
Yeah, I have
Swiss.
made. I actually have made it
Satanic
before.
Swiss. Satanic.
Oh,
is
God.
One of the 7 deadly
Satan-
sins.
Yeah.
Slothy Swiss. Yeah, I had
Chunky cheddar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chunky's my
Chunky
favorite
cheddar.
sin.
Favorite sin. Being
And
a chunk.
Being a chunk.
But yeah, that's pretty much Toe Jam and Earl and Bob's Burgers for me. Anyone else got another one?
So I've thought about restaurants, but more as like a not specific one video game or one IP, but maybe like an entire restaurant based around like video game type food would be pretty cool.
Well, the Universal Studios is getting ready to open that Super Nintendo world, and I'm sure they're going to have some video game themed food.
The other answer that I have is a handful of years ago, somebody created a fake menu for a fake Guy Fieri restaurant.
Oh my God, this sounds amazing already.
And it's just total shit post. It's like Guy Fieri's All American Heart Attack or
Oh
something.
yeah.
And it's like cheeseburger slammers with donkey sauce and
Just some
Donkey
bullshit.
sauce.
yeah, it's all
Bunch
like
of verbiage.
shitty Guy Fieri language. And I think I would like to open a restaurant based on the intellectual property of Guy Fieri. But it's not him. It's the intellectual property, like
The internet's idea of
the
him.
internet's idea of Guy Fieri.
Okay.
and his
The
food.
internet's Guy Fieri.
Fieri.
I feel like I have to stand up for him though, because every restaurant I've gone to that he's gone to has been amazing.
Yeah.
And
No, that's the thing that gets me is I want to love diners, drive-ins, and dives, but he exhausts me.
I can see
That's
that.
the presentation of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The dude seems like super chill. Like when he was on Hot Ones, like
Yeah,
he
he
seems
was a
super
lot
down
better.
to
He
earth.
Doesn't
It's like
realize he's a joke though.
I think he does though.
no,
He
I think
has
it's gone.
to.
It's gone past
He
that
has to.
because he was making fun of himself and the
So-
lead singer of Smash Mouth.
I keep going back to this story I heard on the radio a couple years ago where apparently him and his hairdresser got into a huge fight in a car on the way to the airport, and he stopped the car, had the car stopped, and shoved his hairdresser out onto a highway and left him there.
Oh,
And I keep going back to that news story, and I
What
was
a
like,
shithead.
well,
what
Wow.
the fuck,
Don't
man?
mean your heroes, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen his hair? I don't blame him.
But yeah,
I
He's
wonder.
stuck that way
I
forever.
wonder what his hairdresser is like. I wonder what kind of person.
yeah, I
creates
don't
that
have any other
hairstyle.
context other than that.
So I can tell you exactly what his
So-
hairdresser is like. It is a man who has flames on every tool.
My God, you're reading my mind, dude. I was
Why?
thinking he also has like that flame like shirt, like button-up shirt
he's
that
got
he
a
does
flame
too.
button-up shirt.
Yeah.
and he's got really big mutton chops.
I think he's also got like green hair, spiky hair.
Yeah,
like he's
yeah.
like basically.
So he's the main character from Crazy Taxi.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what
He's
I'm
Axel.
picturing right now.
Cool.
His name's Axel.
Cool.
Hey, here we go. Stop making some
Crazy money. So I've got one more that I can throw out. And
Okay.
I don't have...
And by one more, you mean one for real?
Or one for real, yes.
Not just the concept of macaroni.
Yeah.
and cheese.
So it'd be a Metal Gear themed restaurant.
It's just snake meat.
No. So the dish would be Lale Lule Lo Mein.
Ooh. Good job.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
He is not. I love it though. But what if you put snake meat in it?
That's an option. Additional fee. You can customize it.
See, so here's the question. Can you have a Metal Gear related restaurant without it being an insane fever dream?
No.
I think it has to be an insane fever dream.
I think before, like, you step into the lobby of the restaurant and you all take a tab of acid. And then you move from that point on to the next section of the restaurant where your waiter pops up from a box. It's like, let me seat you.
Everyone sneaks to their seat.
Yeah.
But there are no chairs, or if there are chairs, they're like different heights.
They're the orange cardboard boxes that you sneak in.
Each chair is a different Metal Gear chair. So like a Metal Gear
Oh,
Rex,
a lot
Metal
of
Gear
those
Ray.
would be very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well,
Let's take it to the chorus. Keep going. You were there.
and once the food is presented in front of you, like as soon as it happens, they turn the lights off. And you have to eat in the dark and you can't
Dun,
see.
dun, 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 dun,
And
dun.
that, yeah. And then
Oh, so we're describing more of a dining experience than a
Yeah,
restaurant.
wow.
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna hit this Lale Lulo main over here. And I'm going to eat it. But here's the thing. All the waiters are trying to get it from me. It's in the
You have
dark.
to
So I
fight
have to
them.
hide
So
it.
it's
I have to hide.
Gravy Robbers meets Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And you have spotlights, so everyone's trying to like
Yeah.
eat away from spotlights.
Or like you're just eating and someone hits you with a tranquilizer dart. Takes you right down.
That's an extra fee.
An extra fee.
And if they catch
You
you,
have
of
to
course.
call ahead for that.
Part of the
Reserve
experience,
it.
yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, we're out of tranquilizer darts. You'll have to come back in 3 weeks.
Got live ammunition we can use instead.
And if they find you, the lights actually come back on, but they're all red, and it's the music comes up and it's fast, and you know,
And then
there's an exclamation point somewhere.
you place your order via codec.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god, I could have fun with this for a long time.
It would
But the
help if-
waiters all behave like the Colonel from the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty.
Oh God!
You mean where they talk to you for a half hour at a time?
Yeah.
Start talking about like the point of existence and
Yeah.
all the fucking shit it was spewing.
Oh,
boy.
yeah, we could hire a bunch of philosophy students.
This is giving me anxiety just thinking about it.
Oh, thank you, Hideo.
You got the social medias, we got the social medias. You got the Facebooks, we got the Facebooks. You got the Twitters, we got the Tweeters. We got the Instagrams, we don't really use that one too much, but you know, we're on there too. If there's something else, we probably got it. You can find them all in the description at the bottom.
Okay, guys, for my topic, I want to talk about how adults are ruining children's cartoons.
Yeah?
What I want to like basically say about it is, or what I want to like, you guys asked for a little bit more information about it. What I'm thinking is, it is a cartoon that's made specifically for children. And it's kind of like adults enjoy it, but adults have kind of like ruined the fandom of it. Like it's like one of those things where you say, I love the content, but I hate the fandom.
Okay.
And I'll even go out and say, as an example, I think I felt like this with Adventure Time.
Okay.
So when Adventure Time first came out, I thought it was a really cool cartoon.
The coolest
It was the coolest cartoon ever. And I was a young adult. I was probably in my like early 20s when that came out and I started watching it. And I think the issue for me is that I kept expecting the story to like really open up and to give me some sort of like back lore or something like that. I wanted more out of the cartoon.
Go somewhere.
Yeah, I wanted more out of it than probably what a child would want out of it, because a child is just going to watch a cartoon and be like, I love the bright colors and the silliness, whatever. They don't need...
dog's butt is funny.
Yeah, they don't need like
the continuity
a
wasn't
world
an issue.
building or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, this is a funny post-apocalyptic world. But I think as an adult, I was like, well, they need to explain like why the world is like that, like what happened to cause, and it doesn't necessarily need that.
And the first 3 seasons of
and it kind of hinted at it.
Yeah.
And it was weird things like if you read the comics or watched the show, it'd be like it would show like a crack in the ground, and it would have like a stop sign and a tank or whatever. And that I kind of forgot as a kid, like. Those are just fun Easter eggs as a kid, because it's like, haha, this stop sign's not supposed to be there. Look at it. But as an adult, I was like, these are clues as to like...
You're trying to unravel the mystery.
Yeah.
And because of that, I kind of started to hate the show. I was like, this show is not explaining. It's not going anywhere. I hate it. And I stopped watching it. And then I went back a couple years later and had no expectations for it.
Yeah.
Rewatched the whole thing, and it was super enjoyable. And I never understood what my problem was the first time through.
Yeah.
And I think that is an issue that a lot of adults have with cartoons.
So on the opposite end of that, go ahead.
I don't think it's just cartoons. I think it's everything.
Well, yeah.
Like, I think that's the same shit that we're seeing with Star Wars. I think it's the same stuff we're seeing with Star Trek. I think it's...
Fandoms are just killing IPs.
Any fandoms, yeah. Like,
well, I think
fandoms, I think... It's a toxic group of people in a lot of cases. It doesn't have to be, but
but I think it's even sadder when it's about an art form that's not meant for them.
Not meant for adults is what I'm coming at. It's like these shows get canceled, and it's maybe not necessarily the adults, but I feel like the adults play a large portion in that. And it's like these adults are online complaining about these cartoon shows, which are for children, and the children enjoy them, but because the adults don't enjoy them, the creators are hearing a lot of flack about it. And it's like, what is the problem here?
So I think a lot of different creators have solved this in different ways. Adventure Time was the beginning for a lot of that, for like children's cartoons that have some kind of continuity and whatnot. And one of the creators that was doing that moved on and created Steven Universe, which has a lot of continuity and even worse fandom.
Yeah, the fandom for that is actually really bad.
I love that show. It's one of my favorite shows, but the fandom is pretty fucking terrible. And that is why the new series, Steven Universe Future, is actually a great like representation of the pushback of it, because Steven is suffering from PTSD in it. And he's suffering from like the people around him are treating him like the fandom treats the creators of that show. And it's supposed to be not just a representation or a continuation of the story, but just like, hey, don't be shitholes.
Yeah,
this is how to not be.
Yeah. And it's funny because that show always had really great messages. And we thought, wow, finally a cartoon that's like really inclusive of different things. But the community was just terrible. Like there was a character that is traditionally drawn like she's bigger, I guess, curvy, and someone did fan art of her and didn't draw her that way, drew her like skinny, and the community like lashed out this person, went nuts and like was sending her death threats and stuff. And this person had to like take off her art online. She had to like remove her online presence because people were just lashing out at her because she drew this character in a different way.
In a way that they didn't like.
Yeah, and it's so strange because it's like, what? You guys are missing the complete message of the show.
Yeah.
It's real frustrating because it's we're all used to the internet. Like sometimes people on the other side of the screen, you don't humanize them because you don't see them. So it's a lot easier for some people to like start lashing out like all shitty like.
And there's a lot of that. Yeah. There's a lot of that.
No one humanizes each other anymore.
Yeah.
Or like you said,
as much.
The internet isn't set up to humanize people, and that's like, I don't know. Despite working on the internet and being a person, like a lot of my life, I've been a huge advocate for the internet, but I've started making a joke that it was a mistake, like the entire internet.
Yeah.
And I think part of that, I don't know. I think there's a thing in there that technology moves faster than culture can.
Now,
especially
right now,
and we just haven't figured out how to interact with the internet. We haven't we haven't developed like the coping skills necessary to interact with the internet like it's a real thing.
It's actually even worse in like lesser developed countries or like where the internet is extremely new. Like India right now is going through a marriage cheating crisis because a lot more people were getting caught because Facebook exists.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole new thing that whole culture is having to deal with.
Like a digital paper trail of
the
bullshit you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Because men are very used to having a mistress and getting away with it.
And now the internet.
Now the internet.
Now
I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing right now. I'm just saying that this is an event that's happening.
Brian doesn't endorse marital infidelity.
I don't, but what I'm saying is
hot take from Brian.
Yeah,
don't be
cheat.
unfaithful.
But that's just one example where culture is not catching up with technology right now.
But I mean, yeah, and it's weird and it's hard and like the I think we can look at this in one of two ways, either in like the very narrow way that you did, because I mean it is a real problem that people are angry at things that aren't made for them, that aren't intended for them, but they feel an ownership of, they feel a sense of entitlement around it, and maybe it's because they connected to that art or to that medium or to that thing, but when it moves in that unhealthy direction, that's always scary and weird.
Well, I think the best example of that probably is My Little Pony and Bronies.
Yeah.
Whereas the first two seasons of that show is meant for kids, particularly little girls.
Right.
And then after the Brony phenomenon happened, the rest of that series was made for older men.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yes.
I never watched My Little Pony. So.
Well, apparently season 3 and 4 is pretty decent for anybody, no matter what. But after that, they just catered to that male audience, and which is really strange.
I feel like part of the problem too is that nerd culture is very it's very popular now. Like everyone can enjoy cartoons and video games and things that in the past I think a lot of our parents and grandparents had the idea of when you grow up you don't do those childish things anymore.
Right.
And our culture now is we really indulged in that, and it's fine to still like those things. And I think because we're growing as a person, like you're growing up as an adult and you need more from the story versus what was fine as a kid. So I feel like we're one of the first generations to demand more of these like children's franchises than maybe generations before us.
Honestly, out of all of that, all of the shows that have came like that, I think only one show really got away scot-free. And the reason they did is because it was a finite show. It was planned to end at a certain point, and it ended then. And that's Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls was a really great show that appealed to both children and adults. And they didn't, and the creator did not give anybody enough time to demand more of it.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways, because anime does that, like British television does that, and it's really effective at building audiences that care and enjoy a thing, but that for the most part aren't rabid, with the exception of like Doctor Who and things like that.
The only example I can think of anime is probably like Neon Genesis.
Right.
It got to that point with that one, which is
and that's less like, it's not.
That's a rare example.
Yeah, but it's not like, oh, they're doing a Neon Genesis Evangelion remake. Like, I imagine if that happened.
That's happened like 5 times now.
Yeah.
Every movie is a remake.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's a lot of vitriol around that, but it's contained. And if you do a short thing, it's easier to maintain. Like, you don't set expectations. People aren't bringing their baggage into it and aren't thinking about it in the same way. Like, this is 10 episodes. You might not get closure. You're like, we're going to tell the story that we want to tell. And part of that is like American television is incentivized to carry it on for as long as it can and then go to syndication and all that stuff. So they want people to get involved. They want people to care and to feel passionate about it. But at a certain point, like, how the fuck do you deal with those expectations? Like, how do you make Rick and Morty season 4 when like season 3 was kind of the height of the curve of the Rick and Morty people.
Yeah.
And that's when the Szechuan sauce shit happened, and
actually that has a lot to do with Gravity Falls as well. So Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty, the creators of both those shows, are they're friends and whatnot. And Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, told them to go out on a high note and stop.
Yeah.
And that was the plan, but they already had made deals with Adult Swim,
right,
and whatnot. So they had to keep going. I believe they signed on 2 more seasons after that. So
well, I mean,
until season 5.
What do you do at that point?
Yeah,
like, and I think part of it is you need to step away from it. You need to change enough about it that it becomes more defensible. So like maybe Justin Roiland licenses that next season.
Yeah.
And then like stays on as a creative consultant, but not as the writer or not as the producer or not as whatever.
Yeah, and I think in general that's the way to go, because I believe that's what happened with SpongeBob. And SpongeBob had the American the tactic. Nickelodeon was like, this makes too much money, we're making this forever.
Yeah.
They still are making it.
Right.
But the creator of the show was in it for like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And he was just like, okay, I'm out.
I've built a system. It's now executable and repeatable.
Yeah.
And other people can carry this forward, and I still get money.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that was probably the earliest form of like a modern cartoon being syndicated that way.
Matt Groening, Simpsons.
You're right. You're right. Actually, no. Yeah. Fuck.
How has The Simpsons dodged it?
I have no idea.
They haven't.
They haven't.
Yeah, I don't think they really
seasons 2 through 9 are the magical seasons.
Right.
And everything's been shit since then.
Well, this is not something that I thought like let's come to a solution about. It was just more of like, hey, I just wanted to talk about this and see what you guys thought
I don't
about
think
this. And I just feel like it
sucks.
makes it really hard for creators who are just like, I want to make a thing, especially if they're trying to make a thing for children. And then adults are like, well, this character's backstory doesn't make sense. And it's like, okay, but kids don't care about that.
Yeah.
Kids just want to see a fun cartoon.
You know, I'll say
kids want fart jokes and
yeah.
There's one good show that has gotten around this, I
Blue's
think.
Clues.
And
no, because people rioted when Steve left.
Yeah.
And there was a whole thing about Steve in rehab.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he was
But
I thought he was dead for the longest time.
Yeah, me too.
He was what?
I'm pretty sure I had heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but he was balding.
Oh.
And he didn't want to like wear a wig or tope. Tope?
Tope.
Tope?
What the fuck am I trying to say?
A tope.
That's why Data died in Star Wars. Because he was getting old and he was tired of putting on the makeup.
Yeah, too bad he's back now. Apparently he's in Picard.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Dead.
I'm curious about that.
I want to watch it. I just don't want to pay for CBS, whatever it's called.
CBS.
CBS has their own streaming platform now.
CBS All Access.
CBS.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying
CBS.
CVS.
Yeah.
Like the
Capital
pharmacy.
Gotta go get all these cough drops.
There's a really long receipt with it.
Oh, yeah.
Topical jokes.
Oh.
Everyone knows.
But the one show that got away from it, I would say, is Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom.
Don't talk to me about Sonic Boom.
Not the game's terrible, but the show is legitimately great.
It's amazing.
And I think it got away with murder because the fandom just said, you know what, sure, let's
see this hot Sonic nonsense.
Yeah, and they gave it such like it was. Everyone just assumed it was going to be hot trash, and when it came out to be like, oh, not only this is passable and entertaining, but it's legitimately got great writing and decent animation. People were like, okay, I'm just down for whatever you're going to give me. But when the expectations get so high, I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of shows like We Bare Bears is another one that has really low expectations, but it's pretty decent. It's okay.
So do you think that this becomes more of an issue with... So Sonic Boom is not a show that has a consistent...
People care about?
I mean, some do. It's surprising.
It's a really good show.
It's not me. No, actually, Hutch got me into it.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So Sonic Boom, it does have like an overarching like plot like throughout a season. So it's like a monster of the week sort of thing. you think that's I feel like that's probably like where it can kind of get away with things. Maybe that's where the Simpsons can as well.
Yeah, I think so, because I think like.
Well, that's what fucked up Sailor Moon too.
Well, like Adventure Time started out with like just sort of Monster of the Day type formula, and then they started connecting episodes of like they would show you a little bit of a character, and it'd be really interesting, but they would never fully explain some things, and I think that really frustrated people. I know that frustrated me, and then. When I went back and said, okay, I'm not going to have any expectations for this. Let me just watch it per episode. It was a great show. And I really enjoyed the little callbacks they did. It was like really emotional and heartfelt. But if I had been like a big butthole about it, like I had been in the beginning, I would have missed out on that.
If you had 400 pages of notes still.
Yeah.
Well, that was the problem. Like right now, we went into Sailor Moon Crystal, the remake of Sailor Moon, with expectations of the original show. Which was funny, heartfelt, and had so much filler that you had a lot of character development.
Right.
Whereas Crystal was just like, we're here to look pretty, we're here to do exactly what the manga did, and that's it.
Yeah, and the mangas were really short compared to the anime.
And it had such a rough start that the last 2 seasons turned into movies.
Yeah, it had a lot of problems, and a lot of fans were really pissed about it. I wasn't pissed. Crystal was not my favorite. However, I was really enjoying all of the Sailor Moon stuff that came back because of Crystal.
Yeah.
I remember we went to an animazement one year, and you said you were excited for one of the Sailor Crystal panels, and you went in. The first thing that they started doing was like talking. So let's talk about all the ways that Sailor Moon Crystal sucks.
Yeah, they were super negative about it, like, and I got up and left.
Yeah,
because it was supposed to, like, the way, I forget how they had worded it in the pamphlet, but it was supposed to be like a fun, like, compare, like, look at how silly the old one is, look at the new one. But the guy running it immediately started ripping on Crystal, and I was like, I'm out of here, because, like, sure, Crystal's not my favorite, but
Fuck you, Dan.
If it wasn't for Crystal, we wouldn't have had all of the merch coming out, and then
the new dub.
Viz did a redub of the original, and they did an awesome job. And the last season, they never dubbed in America, but it's dubbed now. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, I will finally get a chance to watch that last season. Well, actually, I stopped at like S or.
So we've been watching the next to last season, and it's used to be my least favorite part of Sailor Moon, and it is now my favorite part of Sailor Moon.
Oh, really?
The whole sub versus dub conversation. This is one time where the dub is like the ultimate version of it, because they just did such great like writing and making things that would be awkward to like plan out. They made it humorous, and it's really fantastic. Plus, holy shit, they make Tuxedo Mask. What one of the enemies call him?
So we were watching an episode the other night, and he bursts in. He's like, "I'm Tuxedo Mask," and this like bad guy of the day turns around and goes, "Did you say torpedo ass?" And I could not believe that they did that. And it was so funny. The next episode, immediately after that, there was like this enemy that was like a ball, or it was like a circus ball. It was like rolling on the ground towards like passed out people. And Tuxedo Mask throws his like rose, and then the ball just like runs over the rose, and it like just evaporates. And Tuxedo Mask goes, "What the?" And like was in disbelief that this happened.
But they do it with like perfect pauses too. They just like. Just a rose, nothing else, no noise.
He's about to do his speech or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a young girl's dreams are more important than anything. You know, he goes to start his dialogue, and then the ball just like runs over his rose.
It was amazing.
And it's like, wow, this is really funny.
So I think expectations are the real problem here. Fandom is the problem. But ultimately...
Closing thoughts.
Expectations are the real kicker here.
I would say so. So cool it on your expectations
just
for
enjoy
children's
it.
shows. Just fucking enjoy it, you nerd.
Allow things to be enjoyed. Don't like put your own personal expectations on a thing, because like somebody created that. That is not a dialogue between you and a creator. That is a thing that a person created that you are choosing to intake. And you can choose not to intake it, but that is
don't be shitty about it.
Yeah.
Don't be a shit.
If you don't like it, that's fine, but just don't be a shit about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave it with that.
All right.
Let people like things in their own ways. That's my song. That's good.
It's a really good song. Download on iTunes.
You got the social medias, we got the social medias. You got the Facebooks, we got the Facebooks. You got the Twitters, we got the tweeters. We got the Instagrams. We don't really use that one too much, but you know, we're on there too. If there's something else, we probably got it. You can find them all in the description at the bottom.
Do you guys have a bucket list?
I don't know. I mean, I have things I want to do before I die, so
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's a
What-
bucket list.
Bucket list.
Let's talk about a bucket list.
I'm
Now we're
No,
talking.
I definitely have a fuck it
Is
list.
that just things you want to put your penis in?
Yes.
I like how you corrected yourself from saying dick.
I think penis is more funny.
You're Richard Ding Dang.
Your pee-pee.
Your winkus.
God. Well, tell me some things. I want to know 3 things
Goron
in your
sword.
theoretical penis list or bucket list.
I think my bucket
watermelon?
list.
A cantaloupe.
God damn it.
I've done that.
Apple pie.
What?
I think I've told you
Apple
all.
pie is golden hot,
I
man.
knew a guy.
You
In,
Gotta
let
let
it cool.
first.
I knew a guy in high school who allegedly got 2nd-degree burns on his penis because he filled a paper towel tube with grape jelly and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds and then inserted his jing-jang
He
into
didn't
it.
put his finger in first?
That's always been the question. Why wouldn't you put your finger in first?
It's way more sensitive.
Your finger?
No,
Oh.
the ding dangle.
Your Lieutenant Dangle.
Jesus.
This is not how you thought this segment was going to go.
but this is even
Guys,
better.
I love our, like, we always are like, how can we derail this topic? Like, mad crazy.
I just love the insanity that we spiral into. Well, let me bring it back to reality. Let me tell you about one thing that I want to do.
Okay.
I want to go see the Northern Lights.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I want to see them, and I forget which country this is in. I think it's like maybe Finland or
One of those
Scandinavian
fjord
countries.
one of the
places.
the snowy ones. But they have like these like glass domed igloo like
Mhm.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, I've seen
buildings,
those
and you
before.
can just sleep and look at the stars through the freaking dome.
That sounds awesome.
And the Northern Lights as
I
well.
think you'd hate it.
Why?
You'd hate getting there.
I think you'd hate getting there and being there, and you'd be like, "Ah, fuck this."
Oh, no,
might
I
not.
disagree. We had a lot of fun
We took
all
our,
together when we went to see this
yeah, that
total
was
solar
super
eclipse.
spontaneous. We were like, Hutch, we're leaving tomorrow,
No,
or
Hutch
something
was-
like that.
I was in the same boat you are right now.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised. Hutch was just like on board for the adventure,
Okay.
and I could see it.
Yeah.
definitely.
That sounds awesome.
Statement retracted, Hutcherson.
Thank you.
Ooh, you got got
Um,
by the.
we're actually
Hutcherson.
thinking about doing that again. We're going to go to the Niagara Falls and hang out with Julian Spillane.
Oh, cool.
In 2024, we're going to go see the next total solar eclipse.
the total eclipse of our hearts.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Man, we made that joke
Yeah.
a few times.
We're gonna keep making it too.
Yeah.
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 Every now and then I get a little bit.
We're gonna get us demonetized. Keep it, cool it, keep it to yourself and cool it.
So I've got one.
Keep it cool. Cool it up.
It's kind of. I read this book back in 2008, and it was
you
about.
want to read another one?
Yeah, I'd love to read another book.
I'm sorry,
read one
I'm
more
sorry.
book.
Good resist.
Wide open.
And it was about this man who traveled the entirety of the Pan American Highway from the bottom of Chile all the way to Alaska. And he drove the whole way on a Triumph motorcycle. And he did it with a friend,
Sounds
of course.
very hot and then very cold.
Well, they did it in such a way to where it was mostly fine and then cold. Because it goes from it goes from the very tip of Chile all the way to the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
And it's the longest road in the world. It only breaks off at one part, and that's in Panama. It goes from Colombia to Panama, and it's like a 13-mile like area where you just cross with a ferry. And I've always wanted to do it. The only thing like that scared me is that he had a bad motorcycle accident in Peru, and he was stuck in Peru for like an extra month longer than he wanted to.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Is he like in the hospital or something?
Yeah, he was not bedridden, but he was an older man when he did it, so he just took some extra time. Oof. And but that being said, I was born in Alaska. I have no memories of it. They moved when I was 9 months old.
Yeah.
I would love to like go to Alaska by seeing most of this side of the world.
Yeah.
I think that'd be super cool.
Be interesting. You'd probably have to fly down to Chile
and
then buy a motorcycle.
Yeah.
They actually, because they got lucky, because this guy wrote travel books before. He got sponsored by Triumph Motorcycles,
and they just shipped
two motorcycles down there for him. He got super lucky in that regard, but and it was really strange. So I lived in San Diego when I bought this book, and one of their stops was at the Triumph Motorsports in San Diego, which there's not that many of in America because it's a British brand. So I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to go. I went there and I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to see what this motorcycle they were driving was. I went there. They actually had a picture of him up like there from the book I had just got done reading. And it was just like a really cool experience to be at a part of the story I was a big part of. Really cool. And ever since then, I've just been like, wow, that would be a really cool way to see half of the world. And I've always wanted to do that.
When I take road trips, I prefer ones that change roads. So the idea of spending, how long was the trip? Months?
It was a 3-month trip, yeah.
Spending 3 months on the same road sounds exhausting.
Yeah. Granted, it's different countries.
You're covering a lot of land,
That's
so
fair.
you're going to see a lot of different stuff. It's not like you're just on like Highway 40 the whole time. You know, so.
Yeah, it's no. Actually, that's one of the parts that they mentioned was 2 things that they hated about America was that the food was terrible, and compared to all of South America, I can kind of believe it.
Yeah.
And then that the drive was the most boring part was America because all the interstates and whatnot, because the Pan American Highway is part of an interstate at some points through America, and there's the most boring
usually flanked by trees and shit. So it's
they did not enjoy that aspect.
Nobody's trying to attack you with a car or a bus.
Actually, they got more injured in America than anywhere else.
Wow, that's amazing.
But it was such a strange, like, off-putting book as far as like America. At the time, I didn't have a car, so
yeah.
It was an interesting book.
Well, speaking of like long trips that take forever to take, something I've always had in the back of my mind that I've wanted to do was hike the Appalachian Trail.
I had a former roommate who did that.
Yeah.
It took him a few months, and then he had to take a break. And then like build the funds back up.
Yeah. So it's very expensive because you have to kind of plan ahead, and there's like little stops that you stop out along the way where you like mail packages to yourself to like refund your food and things like that. But it starts in like Georgia, the top part of Georgia, and it goes all the way up to Maine.
Yep.
And you have to plan it in such a way that by the time you get to Maine, it's not winter anymore because they'll close part of the trail because it's dangerous in the winter. So some people have hiked the whole thing and then they get up there and they can't finish it because they're like, sorry, you're too slow, and now you can't finish it. But there's
to suck, nerd.
There's a lot of people who hike sections of it, and there's fewer people who do the through hike. But I'd like to just do the through hike one day. I mean, the Appalachian Trail goes right next to my house where I grew up, so that's part of it. I would love to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, but that one is much more, in my opinion, dangerous.
Yeah.
And I'm not as familiar with the landscape out west. So the Appalachian Trail is pretty much like the same type of fauna and flora all the way through, but the PC Trail starts in like the desert of Mexico.
Yeah.
So you have a desert to deal with. And then you get up to the Sierra Nevadas and it's snow. Like in the middle of summer, it's like you're walking through snow and you have to deal with water and stuff like that. It's a little bit harder to deal with out there. So
it's much tougher.
Yeah, I think if I did do it, I would start on the side of the country where I'm more familiar with.
Yeah.
So, but that's something I've always thought about doing.
You've been talking about that for years.
Yeah, and I've also thought about just doing it, not practicing, just fucking getting my pack and just going.
Going full grizzly man.
Yeah, and then like of course if I'm like, oh, I can't do this, I can stop, you know. But it's just kind of like I just want to fucking do it.
What was that book you read about the woman who just fucking did it on the Pacific side?
Yeah, it was called Strayed, I think. Or no, it's called Wild by Cheryl. I know her name is Cheryl Stray.
Doesn't Reese Witherspoon play the
Yeah, they made a movie out of it. It was really good. But yeah, that was kind of like that's how I found out about. I knew about the Appalachian Trail because I grew up with it, but I found out about the Pacific Crest Trail through that book, and it was really cool.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, it's really cool. So you should definitely check out the movie. The book is good too, but if you just want to see a movie, it's really good. I think it's called Wild, so you can check it out.
Cool.
So that's one of the things that I might like to do.
Yeah. Jairus, how about you?
I want to go to space and then die in space.
You know,
so that would be at the end of your bucket list.
I 100% respect that. So I don't think I'll die in space.
I would rather die in space and then like either have my body shot into the sun or have my body shot at the earth so that it could burn up.
That'd be cool.
Or not burn up and then fall on a small child in Kansas.
Okay.
And just ruin their day completely.
That's a different kind of Superman.
Hopefully by that point I'll have like a metal skeleton or something and that'll survive.
Yeah.
Terminator Jairus.
I do want... So I have told Brittany to put my ashes into a weather balloon when I die and just... That's it. Just send
give it
up
upseas.
Get it upseas and then just let my shit just go around a lot.
Yeah.
I just want to infest the atmosphere with my ashes.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
I want my electricity and matter to be returned to the earth or the sun.
Yeah.
The universe
cool.
in some way, shape, or form.
Doing like a now that I think about it, that's one of the so like one of those zero grav flights that they do. I think I would,
everyone throws up after them.
that's what I hear.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
So maybe not that, but I would like to go to space.
Yeah.
So
I would still do that.
I absolutely want to go to space. It's one of my biggest dreams, but I want to go in a way. I want a space elevator to exist.
Yeah.
That's the way I want to go.
Like a Willy Wonka.
I don't want to ride a rocket. I would ride a rocket if someone's like, hey, Brian, guess what? You know what? I'm going to pay the $10 million for you to go to like the ISS or whatever. I'd be like, okay, fuck it.
See, that's space I think is really cool, and I think like it's super awesome that people want to do it, but that's never like been a place that I've wanted to go to was space.
It's not a place where it's for us.
My thought is like, number one, like and this is gonna sound like God didn't intend humans to go to space, but like humans, like you literally like cannot live in space. It's just like crazy how deadly it is to me. And second of all, I feel like there's so much shit on Earth I haven't seen yet. I'm not ready to leave Earth. Yeah, so maybe
fair.
Maybe if I've seen a bunch of stuff on Earth and I'm like,
I've seen 100% of Earth.
If after I've seen 100% of Earth, I'm like, okay, I can go to space. But it's not to say that I think people who go to space are stupid or anything like that. It's just that I don't want to go to space.
I understand.
So
that actually goes in tandem with one of my other ones. I want to go to every continent at least once.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I want to go like. I don't. Obviously, we don't have long enough lives to go see the whole goddamn world.
Yeah,
but
yet.
Yeah, I can't wait for my robot organs. Just get
or
them
for
printed.
global warming to eliminate most of the Earth.
There you go.
So it's just water world. You've got 10 feet of solid land.
There you go.
We're all filtering our own piss.
My dream.
But I do want to. I think the hardest one will probably be Antarctica. But I do want to go at some point.
Well, they actually do trips.
They do
for
trips.
Antarctica, but they're very expensive.
And they're also you stay there a while.
Yeah.
It's only like every 2 months they have a ship or a plane
Something
that goes
like
out
that.
there.
Yeah, so you got when you go, you're there for a little while.
Or you have to go in the summer, which is technically the winter for us. But so during the winter they're pretty much are like, okay, here's your supplies. See you later.
Bye.
See you in the
See you in
and
a couple
like
months.
there's a small team of people who stay there to run like the facilities there, but they can't even get people in and out in the winter. So
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're going, you're there for at minimum 2 months.
yeah.
And
so I
then,
definitely suggest going in the summer.
Yeah. Otherwise, after that, I believe winter is like it's a 6 month wait.
Yeah, it's like a 6 month thing.
Unless you want to leave on a cargo boat.
Even then,
And then
I don't
takes
know
the
how
cargo
often
boats.
the cargo
No.
boats go in and out. Well, we're actually going to do one of my bucket list
That's
things
right.
this year. It's kind of a smallish thing, I guess, but I've been wanting to go on this trip for maybe like 5 or 7 years. We are going on like a tour bus type thing where the tour bus converts into like sleeper beds. I'm gonna say sleeper cells into like little beds, and
Activate
like
bed.
we cook food. We do a lot of camping, and for 2 weeks we're gonna go to a lot of the national parks out west.
Oh, cool.
And we're going in July.
Is it like a tour or is it a bus that you're renting?
No,
it's a tour.
Okay.
So it's called Green Tortoise Tours,
Okay.
and it's the national parks loop. Is what it's called. And we start in San Francisco and we go up to Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
And then we go, there's a bunch of places we go to, but I know we're hitting Yellowstone, Grand Canyon.
Grand Tetons.
Yeah.
That's good. So you've got all of them in your active memory at the same time, so you can compare and contrast them. You can build a sweet little list of which one's cooler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we also
like
got
Arches is one, Antelope Canyon is one.
Monument Valley is the one I'm looking forward to the most right now because we're going horseback riding.
The mobile game?
Yes.
Yes, the mobile game. But it's just a cool little like 2-week trip that I've been wanting to do forever. Because
that sounds awesome.
Like I live in America and I feel like I haven't seen half the country.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, let me go. Like I want to travel. Like
Also,
most of my bucket list.
Affordable.
Most of my bucket list stuff is just traveling.
Yeah.
Like I'm content to go anywhere. If someone's like, "Hey, I'm taking a trip to this place," I'm like, "Okay, I'm going."
Fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, I don't care where it is. I want to go everywhere. So I thought, hey, let's start in my own country. That would be the easiest way to travel, I think, at first. So let's do this. So I actually put a deposit down at Christmas, and we're gonna be going in July. So I'm really excited.
So you're in.
Oh yeah, we're locked.
Oh
in.
yeah, we're doing it. It's pretty much what our taxes are going to.
Yep.
Yeah. So mine is my other one is similar with the whole travel bit because I want to go to Japan and I want to eat some Japan sushi and some A5 Wagyu beef made by a person who knows how to cook it and not me. So
got a few of those under your belt, actually.
Yeah, boy.
I think
they're usually like pretty reasonably priced flights.
I was looking at them right now. Yeah, like it's like maybe 1,000 something for flights, right?
So we got Steph and I got it $500 round trip per person.
Oh,
that's a great price.
Yeah, that is a really good price.
So that's the sort of thing that happens from time to time. And we usually keep our eyes out.
Right now with the Olympics coming up, that's not happening.
Yeah, I'm pretty much... it's not going to happen this year.
Right.
2021, more likely. So
me and Brittany want to go. I think when we do end up going, our goal is to stay for an extended amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I would like to do 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were there about 3 weeks, and I think that was a good amount of time to be there.
Like, if I'm going to spend all that money to go there, I want to get what I want out of it, you know?
Yeah.
One of the things I want to do in that regard is I want to go to Osaka during their merchant festival. And I just want to... it's basically you gorge yourself on food. So you wake up and you go to a restaurant and you eat something. And they have this specific day of the year, you don't order food. They have a thing at their restaurant that you are meant to eat as part of this trail.
Oh, so it's like highlights of a bunch of different restaurants.
Yeah. So and you pay like a simple, it's like the equivalent of $5 or whatever per restaurant. And you just go there. They give you like this appetizer highlight, and then you eat it. You drink a beer, and you go to the next restaurant, and you do that all day.
That's cool.
Yeah, boy, want to do that.
And because the history behind that is that Osaka was very much a merchant city.
Yeah.
And all the people who had money were merchants, but they were lower class citizens, and they weren't allowed to spend their money on anything but food. So
they couldn't own land.
They couldn't own land. They couldn't buy armor. They couldn't buy weapons. They couldn't do a whole lot of things, and they couldn't buy titles. Nothing. But they had all this fucking money, so they partied really hard.
Yeah.
So have you seen Street Food on Netflix? I watched an episode yesterday. So they were highlighting Osaka chefs and street vendors, obviously.
Yeah.
So this one guy that they prominently featured, he was a person who, so he makes a lot of sushi dishes and all sorts of different things, but he also cooks tuna over a grill with a blowtorch.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
but he does it with his hands. So he's got like a bath of ice water to his right, blowtorch in the other hand, and he's moving it around, and he's got his hand under the flame, but he's constantly dipping his hand into his ice bath to keep
That
it
sounds
cold.
insane.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
insane.
Yeah.
I would love to watch it. I'm glad I'm not him, but I would totally eat
He
the
is
shit
an
out of that.
extremely personable dude. He has a very interesting background, and I highly recommend it.
Okay.
He
I love
considers
watching shit
he
like
considers
that.
his customers his family and
That's cool.
and his workers and whatnot. So
Osaka's really fucking cool. And next time we go back to Japan, I want to spend more time there because like Tokyo is super buttoned up, super polished. It looks like Canada. It looks like a place that isn't really lived in or real for the most part. I mean, it's still really cool, really interesting. But Osaka, like when we went down to Osaka, there were like skateboarders, there was detritus, there were like people living actual lives, there were a lot of like knockoff high fashion things. It was a much more interesting place.
More alive.
Less like sanitized and yeah, Osaka was really cool.
I've always wanted to go to Japan, and I've always wanted to go to
Weeb.
This is going to be weebish. I've always wanted to go to the shrine of Musashi. Musashi was the very famous swordsman who started the two-sword technique for samurais. He is the subject of the
Brave Fencer Musashi.
Okay, yeah, I guess so.
Great.
But he's the subject of their Gone with the Wind, which is Musashi. It's this huge epic story that everyone in Japan knows. And I just fell in love with that book. Also, he's the author of the book The Art of the Five Rings, which is like what every businessman in Japan
Thought it
uses.
was The Art of War.
No, that's Sun Tzu.
Oh, okay. Just kidding. Never mind. I'll be quiet.
I didn't know if you were doing a shit post.
I like it when people don't know whether I'm going to do a shit
Yeah.
post or not.
Yeah.
So.
But no, that just like those details interest me a lot, and I'd like to go and visit some of the aspects of
No,
that.
that'd be really cool.
My one regret is that we didn't do like an onsen, which is like one of the hot springs or bathhouses.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely on our
I can
list
see that.
to
Yeah.
do. Like, we definitely want to do that.
Next time.
We did a hot spring in the mountains of North Carolina. I forget where, but it was really nice.
I want to do that.
But it was really weird
Yeah,
because
I've
it
been
was
to
just
hot
like
spring before.
we just sat in a jacuzzi. So it was with the hot water from the springs. So it's just like, okay.
I want to sit in like a natural,
Yeah.
like, is some fucking rock crevice that you're in.
That's why I thought we were going to get.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, there's
In
A
no
North
bunch of
Carolina.
anime titties popping out at you.
Yeah.
It's not too far from Japan, but one other place I've always wanted to go to has been Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to
It's
Vietnam.
not too far from Japan.
Well, it's not like it's
Relative to
like us.
It's actually probably a shorter flight than to Japan.
yeah,
I think so.
huh? Well, do you guys? We
Japan's like-
technically did 20 minutes, but do you want to do another 5
Nah,
minutes?
I think we're fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, I think
We all want to go to Japan.
yeah, no surprise
All
there.
right, let's go.
Weebs!
Do you want to watch HEETwave before anyone else? Well, there's an easy way to do that. Just back us up on Patreon at patreon.com/halfemptyetank and be the first to watch the episodes.
All right, guys. So I got one last question for us on this episode. What is your favorite video game console and why? We all know what mine is, so I'm just gonna wait a minute. But I think I know what yours is.
No, you don't.
But these other two, I'm not so sure about.
I don't know what mine is.
Okay, well, what is it?
Should we just make Brian guess what our favorite consoles are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's N64.
Nope.
Okay. No, I don't know then.
No other game systems exist.
Good to try.
Super Gymtendo?
Super Gymtendo.
Super Gymtendo. No, honestly, my favorite console is the Nintendo Switch.
Okay. I mean, it's a great fucking
It's
console.
a
Yeah.
sleeper hit. Yeah.
I was
Super hip?
No, sleeper hit. Which is still just as silly.
I was gonna say the N64, and my reasoning would be like nostalgia.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if I
yeah.
really
But
thought about
nostalgia
it,
is terrible and
Yeah, but-
everyone should avoid it.
but if I really think about it, like the Nintendo Switch is probably my favorite console. Like
Yeah,
right now,
it's nearly a perfect console.
like every time I hear a game is coming out, I'm like, is it coming out to the Switch?
Yeah.
And like I just prefer, like we have several games for the PS4 and the Switch. I prefer to play everything on the Switch.
Mhm.
I just think it's really sleek. It's easy to carry around. you know? And I love the weird square controller that the Joy-Cons are. That they like turn into.
Yeah.
I don't ever play with a pro controller.
Yeah, that weirds me out a little bit.
I just don't like it. I love the little weird square thing.
Huh.
So it fits my little tiny hands.
You're the first person I've seen who has preferred that over
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Pro.
see,
Conversely, it's too small for my hands.
Yeah.
Understandable.
I ogre meat hooks. Yeah.
But yeah, I just love it. And then my Switch is the Splatoon one, so I have the lime green and hot pink Joy-Cons, which I think is super awesome. So
Best cons.
yeah.
They are. They're really the best colors.
A friend of mine, when I was in the hospital last, went to cheer me up by he got me a Switch, and he got me Octopath Traveler.
Yeah.
Whoa, nice.
Which
Not a Jairus game.
is not a Jairus game.
Ah.
He wanted to it was one of those
It was
things
very
though,
sweet.
where somebody did a really amazingly nice thing and also hey, I think you might enjoy this. Okay. So I tried to play it and I got a little ways into it. It's fine for a JRPG, but
I like the graphical style of it.
yeah.
But I just didn't much care for the game itself.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite console though?
Windows PC.
No,
That's not a console.
That's not a console. Can't say that.
I knew you were going to say that.
Xbox Live on the PC.
Game Pass.
Games or Windows Live?
Come on, man. I know you have a console.
No, I mean
you like.
so I'm kind of torn. I was a really big fan of the Sega Genesis. And that's what a lot of my fondest memories were. I am not a person who feels very strongly about one console over another.
That's fair.
The Sega Genesis was the first console that I got my hands on.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64 was the first console that I owned.
Okay.
And then PlayStation 2 was the second console that I owned. And then Xbox One was the one that I got after that.
Yeah.
So I haven't been as much of a console player as the rest of y'all have been. And now I mainly just use my Xbox One to run Netflix on.
I mean, that's honestly what most people are using it for too. That being said, the Game Pass on it and PC are really good.
Yeah. I've been thinking about doing that, but I
You need time to play games
don't
too.
have the energy to play games.
Yeah.
Or not to
play new whatever games.
have that many potential games opened up to me.
Yeah.
I just get decision paralysis and not play any of
Not
them.
do anything at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get that. I get that a lot. Hutch?
So I would say the Xbox 360 is mine. And I want to almost say the Xbox One because it can play 360 games, but so
but also Netflix.
and also Netflix. So the 360 was my first Xbox console, and I also appreciate that it could play the older stuff. I bought it, and then I bought Halo 2 because I wanted to play that with my friends in the dorms. But I just really like the online, the achievement system was super addicting that threw out there.
Yeah.
I like the Microsoft exclusive games, Halo, all the Halo games on there, 3 and Reach, and ODST. The Gears games were really good. And I liked the controller, except that D-pad was atrocious.
It was really bad. That was the worst thing about it. But other than that, it was a perfect controller.
It felt really good in the hand.
So much so that PC gaming adopted it.
Yeah.
It became the main controller to play on your PC.
Yeah. So it was not a perfect console because so mine got hit with the red ring of death. I got a almost launch console. It was the first and almost next to last one that I actually waited in front of a store to get.
Wow.
Yeah. We tell you, I don't ever do it. I mean, this day and age, you don't need to, but that was bullshit, and I regret doing it. But yeah, I mean, I lost my thought trail. Sorry.
Well, no, you're good. The Xbox 360 was a really great system, so much so that I bought 7 of them.
Oh yeah, that was where I was going to get. Yeah,
An insane person.
So yeah, so mine, had to get repaired, and then they sent me a refurb back basically. And then that one red ring, and
you didn't just wrap a towel around it.
I did
or whatever
do that.
Thing is?
and it helped for a little bit. And then I opened it up and replaced the whole X clamp stuff in it, and then I got one with Kinect to replace it. And the Kinect was fun for little things. It was new, so it was.
I still love the Kinect.
So we will keep our Xbox 360 forever because it has one of my favorite games on it that you can't get anymore, and it's the Sellers of Catan board game by what is the name of the
Big Huge Games. It's the Xbox Live exclusive Catan.
Yeah, and it only exists on that console, and
you can't even download it now.
Like that company's been dissolved.
So, we have to keep our Xbox. It's in the Scott Pilgrim situation.
Yeah. It's once that Xbox dies, we've lost that game forever. And I'm so sad.
I have that same situation with my PS3 with the Scott Pilgrim, yeah.
Do you know why they call it the Xbox 360?
Why?
Because you see it, and then you turn 360 degrees around and walk away from it.
And trip over it because it's right in front of your dumbass.
So,
good jokes.
I think we all know what my favorite console is.
Wonder Swan Color. I can't believe it.
I know, it's an amazing.
Super Famicom?
Yes.
The Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy.
Exactly.
Engage. Side talking is sweet.
Yeah, I can't wait. I did actually own the Taco phone. I did actually own that. I
what
bought
was
it for
the
Sonic
Razer
N.
one? It was the Razer Kick.
Oh God, I don't even remember.
Do you remember when we went to that MLG and you got a free phone?
I got a free fucking PlayStation phone. I got the Sony PlayStation phone.
And then because we were so broke after the first Mega Marathon, Bryan sold his iPhone because we didn't have money for food or some shit, and had to use that shitty PlayStation phone
for a few months.
And I would play Crash Bandicoot on it.
Came with one game and it was Crash Bandicoot.
Poverty's funny.
Yeah.
But the one thing I didn't sell when we did Mega Marathon was my entire Dreamcast collection.
How many Dreamcast do you have, Bryan?
Actually, I just sold one.
Uh-huh.
I just sold one earlier this week to one of my coworkers.
But what does that make you down to now?
I'm down to 8 Dreamcast consoles.
You have more than that, babe.
I was at 9.
You were at 13.
No.
Ooh.
I got the functional consoles.
How many do you have total? I don't care if it works or not.
Then I'm at 12.
Okay, then.
I have a couple that don't work, but I've used them for repair parts.
It's not legally a Dreamcast. It's just a paperweight.
Yeah. Well, one I want to turn into a shadow box, but
tell them why.
It was my launch one. It was my first Dreamcast, and it's what I played. It's the one I've played the most. And what I was going to do is I was going to make a shadow box showing all the layers of the inside of the console spread out, and just so you can see all the internal parts. So that's what I'm waiting to do with that one, and that's going to be my centerpiece for it.
That'd be cool.
I've seen. I like the idea of electronics as decoration, and I've seen a couple of people who've taken their PC builds and put them on a wall as art.
Yeah, no, I think it was really cool, especially when you do the wiring, really pretty wiring along with it.
It's like putting all the AOL CD-ROMs on a Christmas tree.
Exactly. It's beautiful.
Everyone knows you're supposed to melt those down and turn them into armor.
But the reason why the Dreamcast means a lot to me was because I've never... I hate the term gamer because it has a lot of connotations now. But I am a gamer. I play video games. I enjoy video games. It's a big part of my life. To the point that we have this dumb video game podcast that we're in and have created. Sort of, kind of.
I'm kind of in it.
Yeah.
I've seen a game once or twice.
And video games mean a lot to me. And the moment where I realized that was when I had to have a Dreamcast.
Yeah.
There wasn't I want a Dreamcast. No, that wasn't it. I had to have one. It's when I learned about the aspect of Japan gets games sooner than us. I learned a lot about the culture behind it. I just got so ingrained with like the details of like this industry, and the Dreamcast is why.
And it started your very short-lived career as a professional gamer.
Oh yeah, so that's a whole nother segment down the road. But yes, I was profitable with one of the games on the Dreamcast for a couple years. But what's really amazing about that console is that it was Sega and their one last chance, and they drew everything at the wall. Like, whether it was good, bad, whatever, they did not hold back. They did whatever they could to survive.
Buckets of semen.
And it, I mean, you could say that about semen. And it was,
that was some wall spaghetti.
That was definitely just like, what the fuck are we doing?
That is one of my best-selling patches.
The
semen one?
Seaman
Any
patch.
of the weird, like, so when we first got the embroidery machine, Brian was like, I want to make all these, like, weird Dreamcast games into patches. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, no one knows what these games are. We're never going to sell these. Boy, did he prove me wrong. All that
we
weird
sell
shit
a lot of Space Channel 5
sells-
patches.
It sells so fast all the time. And I guess just because there's no merch for it out there.
Yeah.
So when people find it, they're like, I have to have this right now. So...
Click the link.
Actually, my shop's on vacation right now, so you can click
click
it.
the link in a few months.
You can click it and favorite.
HalfEmptyEtank.etsy.com. Come back sometime.
You can follow it, and I'll put out an announcement when I'm back
Actually,
up.
we have that in our description every episode.
Oh,
so.
okay, cool.
Buy art.
Yeah. But the Dreamcast just means a lot to me. And when I was the one kid in our school that was fighting for it, and then on top of that, all my friends in Mount Airy did buy it. So I was like, this is going to be fun. And I started Soul Calibur tournaments because of that. I started my first like leadership in a gaming community with that console.
I want to play Power Stone again.
Power Stone is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Julian Spillane created Mighty Fighting Forces, I believe.
Which
it's
is
called.
yeah.
It's basically Power Stone. And it just went into early access on Steam.
Oh, nice.
So check that out. Shout out to our good friends up in the cold north.
Cold North.
Yeah.
But no, the Dreamcast just ended up meaning a whole lot to me.
Yeah.
I would say runner up GameCube. Another weird
Because it
fucking
had the little
console.
handle.
It had a weird handle, weird shape. It looks cute, and a bunch of weird games.
Yeah.
Weird controller.
Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
Yeah.
I have to give Jim Tindo credit for just trying weird controller setups.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, they
Like-
gave us the Wii.
Whereas everyone is just making these mayonnaise bullshit controllers that are like an Xbox and a PlayStation controller. They're fine. They're just a distillation of
Yeah.
like the most efficient way that you could build a controller. And it's
But
16 buttons, 2 analog
Nintendo
sticks, 2
is
triggers.
consistently changing their controllers.
yeah.
And it always, well, not always, but most of the time it works out fine.
Yeah.
We put up with the Nintendo 64.
I love the Nintendo 64 controller.
Not me.
I don't know, it just fits in my hands.
It used to be
I have small
okay.
hands,
I
so-
don't think I care for it much these days.
I will say that even like the N64 is probably my least favorite game console, but I still love it. Like there's a lot of games on there that's not for me. I have no nostalgia for them. I went from the Genesis to the Dreamcast, so I skipped that generation mostly.
Yeah.
But it's still like going back to it, I can still like feel like a kid because it was one of the first multiplayer consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It had 4 controller
Like the
ports.
first network or like large enough.
Yeah. There's so many controller ports. Mario Party was a blast,
Yeah.
even though I hate that franchise.
You refuse to play it now.
Yeah,
Son of a
well,
bitch.
the new one's good.
I can appreciate the Dreamcast having its network adapter built in.
Yep, first online console.
When we would take trips up the Boone, I would take my Dreamcast and use that to surf the internet. But also, I used it to get onto GameFAQs to download a 100% save for Sonic Adventure.
Yeah,
And
you
so
could
I could
actually download right to your VMU, which is
yeah,
really cool.
yeah. So I could play that Green Hill Zone that you had to like A rank every damn level. And I was like,
Yeah.
fuck that. I've got things to do.
So the only game I've ever played on the Dreamcast is Sonic Shuffle.
We really need to fix that.
What?
Yep.
How you live with Bryan?
I know. I live with Bryan
We should-
Dreamcast
we
Spelter,
should-
but I've only ever played Sonic Shuffle.
Oh my
We could start a YouTube series that is Dream catching up.
Yes.
I like
And
it.
it's
I like
just
it.
me playing through every
Yep.
Dreamcast game.
Oh,
You're
it
gonna start
sounds
with Sonic
miserable. I
Adventure.
can't wait.
And Brian has to guide me through it.
Well, guys,
Ikaruga's pretty fun. There's a lot of fun shit.
yeah, I think we could have a good time with that.
I think maybe I would have a better appreciation for the Dreamcast if I play other games besides Sonic Shuffle.
Yeah, it's probably the
And
worst.
maybe if we didn't have like 5 Dreamcasts that just don't work, that we just have laying around.
They're just sitting around yellowing over time and
Well, maybe.
Have you ever wanted to drive a train?
That's a fun
No.
game.
Not that kind of train.
Well,
Did you ever have a period of time where you were super into fishing?
Yes, actually. That is-
Have we?
yeah.
Do we have a game for you? Do you have the controller?
Soul
I bet you do.
Calibur.
Soul Calibur. Favorite fishing game.
Well, yeah. Well, guys, I think we figured out what each other's favorite consoles are. We figured out I'm not good at cough drops. We figured out what our goals in life are before we die, or where we want to die in Jairus' case, and what movies we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
That's the last episode. Whatever.
We learn a lot about ourselves.
Wow. Get it together.
Get together.
If you're going to do a recap, at least get it right.
That means you have to reshuffle everything in the
I'm not.
editing. Have fun with that, Brian.
Nope.
Raise hell, praise Dale.